La, 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 la.
Hello! I'm so excited. I'm sorry, guys. Ben is hang on, let's take measure. 6 inches away from me. We're in the same room. Thank you for joining us.
Wearing clothes.
Yeah. What? That was never suggested. What is wrong with you? Oh my goodness. Right, so thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and we're really excited to bring you episode 4. Ben is currently in the hobby room, Dan's hobby room, looking at all the stuff and pulling things off my shelves. He's tried to black out the cornate influence that you can see off to the side, so it's going to be a good evening. So tonight we are, as normal, we're going to do our on the hobby desk. So one of the hobby desks is right in front of us. So I've mostly got games to talk about. I don't actually know what Ben's been doing, so that'll be interesting to find out. That'll be good. Into the galaxy of war. So we've been really fortunate. A drop pod in the form of raw mail whizzed by early and has dropped off a Space Marine codex. So we've had a quick flick through that. We've also picked up some of what people have been saying online about it, and we want to have a chat. There's been some emotional moments this evening as we've realised certain things. Moving into the mortal realms. So Shadespire is certainly on my list I'd like to talk about. I saw a really cool teaser for that. And also after last week when Ben and I had quite an in-depth conversation, one of you fine listeners, Mr. Wosley, has come back to me with some thoughts on that conversation and an idea for Ben for an army.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna pick that up as well. And then finally we move out into the wilds. So some of you may have seen a post about the Alien versus Predator APC. So I think Ben's gonna want to say something about that. And then also Blood and Plunder. We're feeling a little bit puritanical, is it? Is that a word?
I don't know, but it should be.
Piratical?
Piratical?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're feeling a bit like Blood and Plunder and ye oldie ships and Blackbeard. So we're probably going to have we are going to have a little bit of a chat about that. So thank you very much for joining us as ever. As we always say, grab that cup of tea, settle down and enjoy.
Hi guys, welcome back. First segment on the hobby desk, and we're going to have a chat about what we've been getting up to. So I'm sat in Dan's hobby room, surrounded by paints and books, and literally don't know where to look next. Unfortunately, there's something that's really bugging me, so if I can become distracted from time to time, it's because there's a pile of heresy right next to the Lehman Russ Primarch book, which is about as bad as mushrooms on a pizza. So I just can't.
I don't know if everyone's au fait with your hatred of the Mushroom Kingdom.
No, well, apart from that, there should be an entire crusade in the 40k universe dedicated to eradicating fungi, as far as I'm concerned. They're the work of Nurgle. So Dan, you've been playing some games. Let's have a listen about what's been going on.
So I've not done. I have to be honest. I don't think I've opened a pot of paint since we recorded the last piece, which is disappointing. What I have done is tiled my bathroom, so that's not quite as exciting, but that's what's happened there. But gaming wise, I've managed to get in a 40k game, and which I've put some pictures up about, and a few board games as well. So played Ben Chambers against an Imperial coalition, so the Black Templars that he's doing, which I mentioned last week. He's been doing the chain work on. He's got one finished off, looks really, really ace. They were alongside his Scutari, which are also really gorgeous, and an Imperial Knight. They decided to try and stand in the way of the mighty forces of Khorne, and they almost did, but yet again, my 3 rhinos stole the victory.
Those rhinos, they keep doing it for you.
They do. Well, they had to have the loot, so they took the loot. But what was really cool is we used the open war cards, I think they're called. Hang on, they're behind me. Just a second. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the open war cards. So these were absolutely fantastic.
I want to see these.
So Stu Black did a little video on Games
Was that
Workshop.
Stu Black?
That was Stu Black. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Our old area manager?
Yeah.
No way.
Cool, isn't it?
Yeah, that is cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So he did a little video on them. So those of you that don't know, they sort of generate. It's like a deck of cards. There are 5 different decks, and you draw a deployment, a main mission, a ruse, a sudden death,
Twist.
and a twist. So our twist, there were bits of starship raining onto the battlefield.
Nice.
So you rolled 3 dice every turn. On any 6s, you did D3 mortal wounds to a unit of your choice. So if you rolled 3 6s, then you pick 3 units, separate units, different units. The first 3 turns, we had something like, I think, 8 pieces of debris came out of the skies and smashed into things. Funnily enough, they kept hitting the knight and my Kaitan engine. But yeah, so that was really cool, really different.
What book is it where the word bearers betray the Ultramarines?
Oh,
And the ships are raining down from this dreadnoughts.
No Fear, is it that one? Or something like that?
Oh, it's
No
amazing. That scene when there's just dreadnoughts and Lehman Russ falling like rain, that's just amazing.
Yeah. It's
replayed in a game now.
Yeah.
Cards. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. When you say amazing, like, I have to be honest, when I read that book, I was just shouting. I just wanted all of the defences to power up and pound the word bearers.
We did have a little glimmer of loyalty come back, did you?
Ah! Yeah, absolutely. So yes, open war cards, I think they're a tenner, but they're really, really good. We definitely want to use them more. They're going to be bringing some out for Age of Sigmar as well.
Oh,
so I will be grabbing those, but
because playing
really
games
nice
with Ross, this is where we slow down the most.
Oh, right,
so
yeah.
Picking the army, with the PowerPoints, you can. I've never written an army list faster than with PowerPoints.
No.
But interestingly, with PowerPoints, it requires you to not be an arse, because you can just choose the most powerful unit for the same PowerPoint.
Yeah, but
level.
that's about the social contract
Exactly,
again, isn't
exactly.
it? Where
We
you
need
talk
to
to the
about
guy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we get the game gets set up, and we know the rules are fairly easy to access. But actually, this bit, the deployment, the objectives, all that seems to take us the most time. So having a deck of cards like this, I think, is a really cracking idea.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice idea.
They're brilliant. I love them. Really good. Interestingly, I use Quartermaster. Ben uses it. Ben, who I was playing, uses it as well. To build our lists in, and it's an app on. I don't know if it's on Android, but it's definitely. I use it on my iPad, and they've loaded all the points now, so it's really, really quick to build an army using points. And what we found was, because one of the things in here is you have a ruse, I think, and a sudden death.
Yeah.
And once you've deployed your armies, you add up the power points of your respective armies. And if one person has more than another, they get a ruse. And if they have twice as many... Sorry. So the person with the least gets the ruse. And if they have half what the other guys got, they get a sudden death. So it gives them ways in to winning the game. Now,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
it makes it really kind
it
of
was
cinematic.
cool. But what was even more interesting was we built our lists with points, 2,000 points.
Yeah.
Then we worked out our power points.
Yeah.
And we were within 1 power point of each other's army. So we had no idea until we did it there and then when we added up the power points. But I think I had 125 power points and Ben had 120. Actually, it might have been within 2 because I think he had 123.
That's quite impressive. I mean, just goes to show that you almost don't need the fine grain sometimes. The fine grain pointing. But,
yeah, absolutely. So, anyway, I've talked loads about how we set up for the game. The game was fantastic. Usual deal, really. The corn stuff goes whizzing across the table. Annihilated all of my blood crushers almost straight away.
Oh dear.
I know. But Belisarius' Call is now in a lot of little pieces, having been bashed apart by a Khitan engine moments before the same Khitan engine got a huge chainsawed in the face from the Imperial Knight, who then got shivved by Bloodletters, who apparently are the most powerful anti-armor unit in the game. So really, really good. So thanks very much to Ben for that. Really enjoyed it. To be honest, guys, I've been loving 8th edition. I been love it. Maybe it's because I'm playing. I think I do get obviously very excited, as you can tell, about things, but I tend to find no, it never comes across.
No, it doesn't come
across.
across.
I tend to find when I've engaged and played a game, I've always enjoyed it. I don't look back and think, oh yeah, 7th was no good for this, and this, because that was then, this is now. But I am finding it really easy to pick up and get on with and enjoy.
Is there any bits that you've got stuck on? I mean, the last game I played, I think I was less good at the rules, if that's even English. I wasn't as sort of smooth with the game as the first game I played. So I think in some ways I've almost regressed.
So I think it's definitely helped having played lots of Age of Sigmar first.
Yeah.
I think that's kept the flow going. I mean, the hardest bit is knowing what your units do. So your basic stat lines and things.
Yeah.
And even when you think you know them, you just want to double check. That's the hardest bit at the moment, and that will just come with time and playing. I must admit, I am getting a hankering for playing something else now, because I've only used my Khorne.
Well, you haven't played Age of Sigmar in ages, man.
Yeah, well, I know, different game system, but I just mean a different army.
Sorry?
I just mean a different army.
A different army?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it because you're dreaming of skulls and blood in your sleep and it's about time?
Yeah, I was just thinking of doing Nurgle.
Oh, man.
No, I'm not. So, that was...
I don't want to know what that Facebook group is.
Yeah, no, that would be shocking. Yeah, it's going to be worse than red body paint, isn't it? And then I've also played it's called Viking, which I mentioned I had played one game of and I'd won, I think. I said. So I've played probably 8 or 9 of the games of that now with Harriet, and it's about 50-50. Really enjoying it. Really quick, easy mechanic to pick up and play. Works with 2 people absolutely fine. It's good. It is very good.
Has got horns on his helmet.
Yeah, there's a dude that upsets Ben because he's got horns on his helmet, which didn't happen apparently. But
yeah, it didn't.
Yeah. How do you know?
Because they have.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't. That's fine.
Absolutely.
We'll leave that one for.
There we go. Day. Moving on. So that's me.
Over to me, is it?
Yeah. What have you been doing?
I've been working on. Well, I had to finish those sodding goblins.
Oh yeah, the goblins.
My plan for those. I don't know what overcame me. Some kind of moment of craziness where I thought, I'll get through 52 goblins in a week. Yeah, it didn't happen. But yeah, no, they've turned out. I think they turned out all right. I had a new play with some new basing. I'm really getting into basing actually. I think that the Games Workshop's new basing systems has really opened up a lot of easy access opportunities for basing. When I first started, I remember we talked about this the other day, but when we first started, basing was either just flocks stuck onto a green painted base, and then it became sand, actual kind of play sand, glued onto the base and painted, and then Games Workshop released their sands, and you started to get those kind of 3 colour schemes, sort of like a black undercoat and then dry brush with 3 colours. But now, with all the paints, I was just looking through the White Dwarf where they released the kind of schemes in them not so long ago. The kind of range of opportunities you can make from the range that they've got is quite insane actually, and I'd quite like to, almost tempted to rebase the Space Wolves I've already done actually.
Yeah, you said that actually, didn't you?
Because the bases look good, but they look really plain, and I'd like to bring a little bit more life into them. So now the goblins first, and then I set about my Longfangs. That's what's on the table at the moment. I scored a 6 Longfangs, and had a bit of a problem with a wash. So take home message is always shake your washes, otherwise they dry with that white staining in the creases, where the medium is the kind of primary mixant rather than the colour. So that took some repairing, actually.
So how did you do it? Because I'm sure that you won't be the only one that's had that happen. So how did you manage to...
Well, if you go over with a wash, it doesn't seem to make any difference. So if you reshake the wash and put it back on, it doesn't seem to work. I found that if you put lamy and medium on, and then the wash, that can do it. But you have to really kind of just go for the cracks, because the problem is if you keep putting washes over it over and over, you're just building up layers. However thin a wash is, you'll end up with a gritty, horrible mess with far too much texture. So what I ended up doing was mixing the fang with some black and just fine lining in where it had gone white. It looks all right. It's probably a more time-consuming way of just doing the wash in a sense, but it needed to be done. So that's how I fixed it. I know that I went on the internet and had a read about why it happens, and now I've changed the way I do the washes. I'm now shaking just as much as I do the paints, but it's a bit of a disappointment to have that happen, actually, because it feels like a schoolboy error for someone who's been painting for 20 years. It seems a bit daft, but then I grew up on inks rather than washes.
Well, and you've collected Space Wolves, so that is a schoolboy error, straight out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that down.
But yeah, and then the next one I'm going to work on to finish off this month's Tale of Many Gamers is that Wolf Lord that I kit bashed, which I'm really chuffed with.
Oh yes, he's awesome.
Because he's the idea of my Space Wolf army is I'm going to do a 30k Space Wolves and 40k Space Wolves, and then probably a whole bunch of Primaris, and have the Space Wolves through the ages, so I'll be able to pick timelines. So the black-maned wolf is a very common symbol in Space Wolf heraldry, or that wolf symbol is quite common, so I've just chosen a Wolf Lord that predates Ragnar, using the same colour scheme. Which, I can't remember his name, I like to get the books out and have a read, but he was in the books, and I remember him quite vividly as a character, but not his name, unfortunately. He ends up doing that insane kind of ramming mission in the books. Do you remember? With his ship? It's a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
So that's my hobby desk. Game-wise, mainly 40k. Still getting used to the rules. So it's nice to be playing now. I was saying to Joe the other day, I've probably played more games in the last 6 weeks than I have done in the last 4 years.
Yeah, both me and you both recently have picked up the pace, and I know you definitely. It's great. It's so exciting that you're playing games. Like I said in one of the first episodes, I just think it's brilliant. Love it.
The thing is, 8th edition has really helped because, all those things that smooth and streamline it have taken away a lot of the barriers that stop me from playing. I can now go with a PowerPoint army, play a quick game set up now using the open wall cards, which I'm probably going to pick up, and play a game really quickly. Whereas before, how many times did we spend until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning in Games Workshop Plymouth, and we played 2 turns?
Yeah. Spending an hour eating Burger King never helped.
And you always insisted on going home.
And I had to go home. That's because I didn't really ever want to play.
Really?
Yeah. I never was that bothered about playing. Because it didn't live... It's difficult to get it to live up to,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
What you want.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm much more... I love playing.
Because we like the cinematic stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
We like the story. And actually that thing where the sudden death, where the underdog can win the game, that for me, that's awesome. Because, I'm a Magnificent Seven kind of fan.
Well, and what's really cool about that is you can obviously come to the game having had that pre-conversation that I want to play a game that's going to have a sudden death in.
Yeah.
So you deliberately build your army smaller.
Yeah.
And your opponent knows. But you don't know what your sudden death's going to be because there are several of them in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is really, really cool because it's just a bit different.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look at them now because I haven't looked at them.
What, all the sudden deaths?
Yeah, I haven't looked through. I haven't looked at any of it. I've only seen the ones that actually came up in our game. So that's the twist of the stuff. Right.
Vital ground.
All right. So starting from the 3rd battle round, play this card at the end of your turn if there are no enemy units within 9 inches of the centre of the battlefield. You immediately win the battle.
Really?
Yeah.
So does the enemy know that? Do you hide
No, that's a hidden card.
So, but essentially, if the enemy doesn't hold the sense ground, they lose.
That's a hidden card. They wouldn't see that.
Wow.
So, because look, it says play this card. So play this card if you destroy at least half, rounding up, of the units that your opponent had in their army at the start of the battle. You immediately win.
Wow.
So
That's pretty cool. I like that vital ground one. It's a bit sneaky.
yeah,
It kind of means that actually, if you're playing in those kind of sudden death sort of games, you need to think about, actually dominating the field, playing like an army, and not just leaving open ground for, people to explore.
play this card if an attack made by your warlord destroys the enemy warlord. You immediately win the battle.
That's a good one for Black Templars.
That's excellent.
Having just read the...
That's good. So anyway, we shouldn't read them all because that would be a whole episode in itself and nobody would have any... Oh, and it does come with a little tiny set of how they work there.
That's
It's
cool.
like a mini rulebook.
I prefer to watch Stu Black explain it, I think.
Oh, you would? Yeah, okay, you go on. You do that then.
I'm a visual learner. I need... The videos work for me.
Excellent, I see.
That's why Duncan is just the best thing since painting. Essentially. So I think we've covered our hobby desks, haven't we? One of the things that we do all the time is sharing what we're working on, probably before we talk about it, so people get to see what we're doing. I haven't shared the long fangs, but obviously I'll put those up on Monday when we're back, because I'm on a weekend away.
So, well, I'm going to get some pictures up because I'm nearly there now on 16 bloodletters. We've only got a few bits left to do to them. And then I want to get these blooming heretic cannons, as you call them, painted, and some flesh hounds.
I see you've broken them down into sub-assemblies.
I have. I have broken them into sub-assemblies.
Is there any way that you could move them away from the Lehman Russ book? Because it's just not right.
No, he's fine.
Did
he's holding his own.
Lehman Russ break them down into sub-assemblies?
Yeah, when I wasn't looking,
Okay,
he just wigged out and started whacking things.
That makes it
so
better.
What I should say is, for anyone waiting with bated breath on my 1,000 Suns, Araman's still not out of the packaging.
Where is he?
He's down here somewhere. He'll be in the pile of
unmade rubbish and
stuff I haven't got to yet. But probably worth saying at that point, and this I would say this, I'm a big believer in don't try and force yourself down a path with your hobbying. So I was really excited about doing 1,000 Suns, genuinely. But there's a real risk if I force myself down that way, because we've said that's what we're going to do, that I'll just get frustrated. And actually, I've got all this corn stuff, and I know I was excited about that. And the nice thing about being lucky enough to have somewhere set up like I have is I can come in and whatever thing I'm excited about, I can grab it and just start do something with it, whether it's just build a marine here or paint a dude over there. So very, very big fan of just, paint or model or create what you fancy doing. Because it doesn't mean you have to park the other project. I didn't paint a single core model for 12 months, and then I came back to them and did some more. Write down your paint recipes, by the way. Yeah, even simple things. I am a paint. Oh goodness, yeah.
Because the number of times I've gone back and been like, how the hell did I do that?
Right. So that's the hobby desk.
It is.
We've had an hour about the hobby desk, so let's go and well, we're not going to go anywhere. Actually, we're just going to pause. Give ourselves a chance to get a breath back, and then carry on again into the galaxy of war. So thank you for listening through this, guys. We'll be back shortly. Right, welcome back then. We now go into the galaxy of war. So a little bit of a warning here. I'm going to try not to come across too frustrated.
Yeah, it might be hard.
It might be hard. We're both very passionate. We're particularly passionate about Space Marines. We've been very, very, very excited about a new Space Marine codex. And there's a few bits we just want to cover. Really, really happy to get some feedback on this as well, guys, and your thoughts and feelings. As ever, always willing to be challenged.
Because at the moment we're mostly confused.
Yeah,
actually, rather than angry, we're just
not
frustrated, but mainly confused. Confused is my biggest emotion.
Just funny, I said, I don't want to come across on an episode of the podcast all negative, and I've opened up with an introduction, which is basically painted this picture. They're going to set fire to stuff. It's not like that at all. Hopefully what you've got by now is that we're both huge fans of Games Workshop or Wargaming. We're very passionate, but equally we care and we like to, we've got opinions on these things.
Yeah.
So we're going to chuck them out there. So
shall we start with something positive?
Yeah.
I cannot believe that this Getting Started magazine is like almost a centimetre thick for a £5. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it even comes with a Primaris Marine.
I think this is astonishing.
Who can't go in a drop pod.
No, you've gone on to it already. You can't do that. No, we're going to start with
Okay,
positive.
I'm sorry.
Positive.
Let's have a look. Okay.
Look at the pretty
We're really
magazine.
excited.
Yeah, we bought the...
Oh, look. Oh, what's that?
It's a Primaris.
They can't go in drop pods, though.
No, you're right. They can't.
No.
Do you know what else?
Shall we carry on?
Yeah. Do you know what else they can't go in? Land Raiders down.
Land Raiders either. Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I can get over that. Oh look, there's a Primaris Captain.
They can't go on a drop pod.
No.
No,
Or a Storm Raven.
No, the room's not big enough.
No,
Apparently.
No. Okay. Hold a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Storm Raven.
Primaris
hanging on the
Marine
back.
hanging from the back. Holy shit! No, but in seriousness, this is awesome.
It is an
As a
awesome
£5
magazine.
get into the hobby. So I mean, is the Age of Sigma one this big?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at that. Where's that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have got it.
It's in your sea of epic books. That's sort of problem.
It'll be up there somewhere,
Getting started.
I think.
I can't see.
Or it might be. I don't know.
Well, so it's a sick assist. If Alexander saw Age of Sigma one the size of this, I reckon he might. Problem is, if I got him one every 6 weeks, like I said, he'd literally have no room in his room.
Well, and also it wouldn't have glitter skaven in it.
No, it wouldn't have to escape in it.
We'll have to find that later. I don't know where that's gone. I was looking for it the other day, actually.
I'm well impressed with that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, again, and we said this a little while back, yet another example of a product that people can easily leave that store with so that they've taken something away.
I'll tell you one, the only irritating thing about it is it's completely the wrong scale compared to the rest of the books.
Yeah, but it matches White Dwarf.
All right, okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. Right.
No, it's amazing. I must get one, actually. There's a couple of people who will be getting them through the letterbox.
Is there?
Yeah, 100%. I just got to get on with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Does it come when you're going to wrap them? Does Games Workshop Bristol do gift wrapping?
I'm going to put them... I'm going to take the Primaris Marine off the front, and then I'm going to put the magazine in a drop pod and deliver it, and then the Primaris Marine is going to come separately. Right, so let's get on to the point, which I think we've pretty much alluded
we've been
to.
very subtle. I think we've been subtle.
Nobody knows, do they?
No, it's been a secret.
Why? Why can they not go in drop pods? What is going on?
I've no idea. I have no clue.
No, and that's what's really odd. So there's a few. Firstly, and it's not. This isn't a review, but
the book is gorgeous.
We've got the book next to us. Ben's flicking through it. It is absolutely stunning in presentation. The artwork is awesome. There's some cool little bits of background. I've not had a chance to read loads of it yet. Yeah. It's got a load of stuff about all the different chapters. Some really nice colour prints. Those what they call colour plates of the different chapters. It's also got some really nice nods to stuff that's been done in the past. So there's a Land Raider cutaway, which was done as a poster.
White Dwarf when they released it.
And there's also there's a bit in there from the 3rd edition Space Marine Codex, which lists the primary chapters and the 23 second founding ones for the Ultramarines and the other chapters as well. So that's fantastic. And it's really nice.
It's got the heraldry back, and we've spoken about how I loved going back and doing my Rogue Trader Marines and looking at the heraldry. Little things like the helmet stripes, which every Marine had. I'm really happy to see that back. Because I think, for example, the Lieutenant with the white with the red stripe, I think that looks ace. And starting to see those things that actually say, this is a campaign badge, this is a marksman's badge. That's kind of been lost a little bit, actually. People have just whacked whatever the hell they wanted on.
It's interesting, talking about that sort of stuff, that it wasn't... So you came up tonight.
Yeah.
I'd had the book for a bit before that. Not very long, but a little bit. and I hadn't even looked at the rules. I had no idea what
Yeah.
we're going to talk about in a minute because I had been reading the background and looking at the colour pictures. So there's a spread of the Ultramarine Second Company, which echoes the one that was done either in the last codex or the codex before, where it's every man is shown, and in it it's also got Primaris stuff. So that sort of gives you an indication of how they fit into the organisation as well, which is really nice to see, because that's what I was waiting for from this book.
Yeah, and it is nice to see, sort of, because the Second Company has taken a bit of a hammering over the last 200 years. So it's nice to see sort of a typical company that has got, the Primaris coming in and filling the gaps. So it's quite cool. It's quite a nice part of it. But and then unfortunately we get past the juicy, good background and move into the rules, and things start to get really confusing.
Yeah, it's just a bit odd. So, and we might be wrong because we've not looked at it. We've looked at it a bit, but what we've not found, so things we've not found so far, so we haven't found librarians or chaplains being able to go onto bikes,
which doesn't make any sense for White Scar armies. Which White Scars feature in this quite a lot. There's a whole background section on White Scars and talks about how they bike, and you'd expect that to be reflected across.
Might be worth just checking someone like Kasara Khan and just seeing if there's anything in there. But so that's a bit of a surprise, and one we just don't understand, because not only does it seemingly not make sense, because why would either a chaplain or a librarian not have access to those elements of the chapter armory? That's the sort of background wise. Also, why would they be excluded when clearly people are going to have those models in their armies, whether they've converted them or they've got the old chaplain on the bike? It doesn't really gel with the Games Workshop we've been enjoying seeing coming along recently, which is a bit more open. You'll be able to use a bit more inclusive. So the only, I suppose, one thing is, Ben and I were discussing, like, maybe because they don't make a model for either of those things at the moment, there isn't a currently available one, I don't believe.
But they'll release it when they come out in the box.
And the rules will come out with it. We know that's going to happen because that's happening with the stuff at the moment. And but that might be fine.
Dan, there's a captain on the bike. The captain on the bike is here, and they don't have a captain on the bike.
No, there isn't a captain on the bike, is there?
You can kit bash a captain on the bike, but then I could kit bash any half decent modeler can kit bash a librarian or especially now they're in plastic. They're not complicated things to do.
No. So that is definitely, I said to Ben, that is on my list of next time I go to Warhammer First or 40k Open Day, is just to ask why. What are we missing? I don't really mind what the reason is. I don't know if it's not, if there is a background reason that I've not seen or not thought about, cool. Maybe librarians find it hard to concentrate on that stuff when they're
they're not allowed to use psychic power in the transport.
No, but that's rules wise, isn't it?
Yeah, but
so maybe there's a rules reason, like it's too powerful. Not a great reason in my opinion, but it could be a reason. Or is it a reason that's driven more by the kind of the financial, we want to release these models? I don't know. Because
second edition and particularly sort of third and fourth edition, they had loads of models in codexes
that there wasn't
a model for, and other companies really utilised that. The Thunderwolf Cavalry is a really good example of a unit that was probably in the codex for at least 3 or 4 years, perhaps, before there was a model.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of them. There was just so many kind of other companies making them. So I think maybe they're trying to stop that from happening, because these other companies are better now. They're faster at producing things. They will fill those gaps. It's not a question of if, they will, if there is one.
Yeah.
But then, the model thing explains that part, but the transport thing doesn't. That makes no sense to me. I can't understand why a Primaris Marine can't go in any of the Space Marine transports. You could sell me that they couldn't get into some of the stuff, but you can get Terminator into a Land Raider. There's no reason why you couldn't do that.
Yeah, even if it was a reduced number,
Yeah.
it doesn't. That doesn't make sense. Well, no, it doesn't. And we just can't understand. We just don't understand why. Other than, I suppose, maybe it's about keeping
the two separate.
Yeah, and keeping original Space Marines still in the game, as it were, because they have that ability to go into those transports, making them more manoeuvrable. Primaris don't, but it really flipping irks more because of the background. Because, like, I know Space Marines have that humanity, and yes, there are cases of Space Marines where they sort of fall out or they don't trust each other a bit because that one's new, but not in a codex chapter, not in the Ultramarines wouldn't be like, well, you're new, mate, so you're not coming in my tank, even though it's tactically the best option.
Yeah.
And then we get to the real thing which I've mentioned. It's the drop pod.
Yeah, I mean that makes no sense at all.
So the Angels of Death strike from the skies, brothers. They shall ride on wings of fire that shall bring swift annihilation to the enemies of mankind.
It's a
drop pod assaults are what Space Marines do. Really? Yeah, they do. I know they do loads of stuff and all the rest, but they've always been about this.
It's their piece de resistance, isn't it? It's the thing that when the Space Marines arrive, they come and they hit hard.
I mean, I suppose you have got the fact, I suppose, that the Inceptors, they come out of orbit, don't they? In their armour. Yeah, they're not in a pod.
The drop pod is the drop pod is almost unique. There's nothing else. I can't think of a single other thing that even remotely resembles a drop pod that didn't come after the concept of a drop pod. I mean, it might have been. I mean, lots of things in Games Workshop have come from books. I mean, power armor comes from Future Peace, Future War, but it wasn't originally thought of by them. But certainly, the drop pod for a Space Marine is kind of pivotal. It's kind of the thing that makes them Space Marines to me. It's unique to certainly to all of the 40k stuff. And my Space Wolf chapter or company is Ragnar Blackway. They are the masters of drop pod assault, potentially across the entire of the Space Marine, chapters in its entirety. They are the drop pod assault masters of the Space Wolves and a master of assault chapter. And now I can't have my Primaris in a drop pod.
Interestingly, I just want to have a look at because obviously we know they've got the repulsor tank, haven't they?
They do have the repulsor tank. Yeah, that's the only transport they've got at the moment. So really, what we've come down to is that the Primaris are really going to be quite slow on their feet, to be honest. Apart from the things like the Inceptors, what are they called?
No. I just wondered if maybe the repulsor was able to drop out of the skies.
That would be cool.
But I can't see anything else.
No, but there's a cool rule about how you can get pushed away by, charging. You subtract 2 from any charge roll.
So this is amazing. Under the repulsor, there's a little piece of background. And it starts, a drop pod assault is the purest manifestation of the Emperor's wrath.
It's almost as if Games Workshop get their own irony.
So, yeah, in summary, it's more of a confused...
It is. I don't get it at all.
What's going on?
I mean, even if you said, okay, there's not enough room to fit 10 of the... I'm really bad with names. Of the new tactical, whatever they're called, the line Primaris,
the Intercessors.
No, the bolters, the bolt gun dudes. This is awful. It's late. That's another point. So, name wise, I could forget people's names.
We can't just keep saying it's late all the time.
Yeah, well, we can because that's when we do it. Come on, keep flicking, Dan, flicking.
All right. Stop shouting.
In fairness, I'm not the only one who's forgotten. We're nearly there. Yeah.
Intercessors.
Oh, it is the Intercessors.
Oh, so you are the only one that's forgotten.
I am the only one that's forgotten. Yeah.
Right. Anyway,
so it's this room is affecting me with all the Zinch.
Zinch?
Yeah.
There's one model of Zinch.
That's enough, man. I'm a Space Wolf. So no, yeah,
beard's burning off.
It is. It's going to melt. But if they said, okay, these dudes are too big to fit 10 in, they can only have 5. Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, all this crap about the technology doesn't change. I call horse shit on not being able to move a harness into the middle. Like, just rotate it.
And also, to be honest, they are an example of it changing. That's what Cool does. He just changes stuff. So
Cool seriously needs to get out of his lab and start looking at how Space Marines fight and start building. I mean, that is a point. There might be a Primaris drop pod on the way, because I do remember vaguely there being a mention of a Primaris drop pod in Dark Imperium, the book.
So you know what's going to happen, don't you? In a future episode, there's just going to be an entire Galaxy of War section where I'm going, oh my god! Because they bought out this Primaris drop pod, and I've just lost it completely, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
That is what's going to happen.
We hope.
We hope.
Fingers crossed.
We really do hope. So that's our confusion on that front, and looking forward to getting some thoughts, guys, really, on how you feel about it. And if anyone's listening, you know, if we've got a famous guy out there that's writing these rules, we'd love to know as well. But we're going to try and come along to some show and ask at some point. But generally, well, as you would expect from Games Workshop, it was a beautifully presented book, really beautiful. If you're into collecting your army books and your codexes and such like, then you're not going to be disappointed. Yeah, I mean, it's a stunning book, really nice, really nicely laid out.
You're trying to make up for it now.
I know.
You just can't leave it on a negative note, can you?
No, well, it's not in my nature to be
overly
negative.
He was sat on the sofa pouting for about 5 minutes. He didn't say a word. He just pouted. He was so cross.
What?
But loving the Reavers. First time I saw them, I thought they were crap, and I think I did speak about that. But now I'm really liking them. The more I see the models of them, the more I see the background. I'm thinking wolf skull helmets, perhaps from that site that does them on eBay. You know,
I just have a drink. Sorry, just right in the middle. I love you guys, listeners, but I just needed some Diet Coke.
I was going to go for the wolf skull helmets. Really go down the skull helm route. It'd be wicked if... Do you know the Wolf Priest I've just done, where it's got that kind of respirator with the teeth on? I'd love that for those.
So, you know what's really cool about Reavers? That I like, that I just can't help but raise an eyebrow. No. Which chapter? Not chapter. Which legion do they look like they're from?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Now, in Dark Imperium, there's a conversation. And spoiler now, for those who've not read it. There's a conversation between Cool. Well, it's not the Cool. It's the Cool engine. It's a weird thing, and Gilliman. And Gilliman, Cool is saying that he's completed the testing on the other legions, including 2 and 11, which have gone missing.
Yeah.
And that he's confident that he can take out genetic deviancy, use that genetic code to create more Space Marine. And Gilliman's like, no.
Cool makes a very good point. I thought it was quite a good comeback to say, remind him that Ultramarines have turned to chaos in the past as well. Yeah, I thought that was quite a clever little sort of ploy. There's more than one Ultramarine successor chapter has moved on to the dark side. Don't look at me like that. I'm sorry, it happens. It's okay. How many Space Wolf successors have gone chaos?
They're already there.
Guardians of the
I'm
Imperium,
going
mate.
to find this. Anyway, more importantly, going back to other things that are actually true. Cool talks about that.
That's true.
I don't believe it is. So
okay, the book's here. I'll read it. I'll beat you over the head with it as well.
No, it's not here because I've lent it to Ben, other Ben, that talks sense, right? But I think that is really exciting, and it's Gilliman's like, oh, I'm gonna have to deal with Cool at some point. And it goes in really nicely with. There's a bit in here about the 3 Primaris organs that make a Primaris Marine, or a Marine, a Primaris Marine, and one of them is like the right lobe
of the Primarch lobe.
Of the Godmaker thing, and it's very cool, very exciting, and I'm particularly I like the idea of the other legions.
You think they're secretly Alpha Legion?
Not Alpha Legion, Night Lords.
Night Lords.
But there are Alpha Legion on the front of...
Did you see the advert about the Alpha Legion recently? About the theories about the Alpha Legion? It was a really good advert from the Warhammer community released. No, it was Black Library released it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah.
But how they're secretly doing the Emperor's Plan was one of them.
Yeah.
And it's nearly at its completion.
Yeah, that was good.
I feel some really cool story plots coming. I quite like the one that half the Alpha Legion is Chaos and half of them Imperium. Because Alpha clearly was different from Omega. There's that great short story where Omega kind of scuppers Alpha's plans by destroying that secret base. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't.
Yeah, they go in and they sort of take out this secret base. Really, really stealthy. Like, he chooses basically a hit squad of Marines. Because I thought that the captain he convinced to lead it was committing suicide when he drank the drink, but actually the drink makes him look temporarily like Alfarius, or like one of the Primax, and he leads the mission, and it's all really cool. But they fight it. They clear out this Alpha Legion base, and you get this kind of it's all, you know, Alpha Legion always is. There's always a bit, what's going on? What the hell is happening here? Because it feels like almost one of them is working for one side of the cause, and the other one is working for the other. Like that would be really cool in 40k if half the Alpha Legion was like, surprise, we've actually been on your side. And see how the Imperium was reacted to that. No, mate, sorry.
It's a brave new world, the Imperium now, isn't it?
Well, yeah. There's definitely a clean slate, and that's an exciting thing. But I think we ought to move on because we're approaching we're quite aware that our last episode ran into an hour and we didn't mean it to. So we'll try and keep it under.
Nobody needs to listen to us for that long.
No.
It's not fair. Geneva Convention comes to mind.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to Age of Sigmar, guys. Thanks for listening to our 40k segment, and we'll speak to you soon after a cup of tea.
Cheers, guys.
I can't believe you don't believe me.
I'm not having it.
What? I can't believe it.
There's no way the Ultramarines. Which book?
The Dark Imperium. It's in Dark Imperium.
It's not.
It is. There's a whole conversation. We was talking to the engine.
No, well, Ben's got it.
Well, phone Ben.
I can't phone. It's
can't.
quarter to 9. It's quarter to 11. Sorry.
Phone Ben. Who else will know? Brad will know.
Brad might know.
Brad will be up. Phone Brad.
Phone.
He reads all these, but I don't care.
Right.
You're calling me a liar on a podcast.
Right, we're ringing up. I'm not call. Well, yeah, you are. You're just making
Look, just
because
you can't deal with your own heresy doesn't mean you need to spout it to everyone else. The Ultramarines are just as corrupt as every other bastard.
This is just outrageous.
It's not outrageous.
No, because now you're just going off on one.
I am. It's true.
I'm not having it.
Is it ringing?
This is ridiculous. Hang on. I'm trying to make it ring. Here it goes. Here he's ringing. It's ringing. This is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
Oh, you're not going to get on
this.
See?
No.
Whoa, he's not answering.
Hi guys, welcome back. I've been told off. It's the Mortal Realms section that we're in now, not the Age of Sigmar section. I'm having to put down lone wolves because I've been distracted by the Space Wolf book. This room is far too awesome, Dan. I'm sorry. So, Mortal Realms. What we can talk about?
Why have I got? Oh, no.
Why have you got this?
Yeah,
because you know how awesome they are. Really.
Okay. So,
Mortal Realms.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Silver Tower, weren't we?
No.
No.
We're going to talk about Shadespire.
That's the one. Shadespire.
You can be forgiven for saying Silver Tower, because I have said I'm going to talk about Silver Tower, and I will talk about Silver Tower, but we are only, I think we're just over halfway through my games group now, so I want to get all the way through.
As a whole campaign?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if people don't know, Silver Tower is kind of campaign-based, but almost like an RPG, where your character can sort of gain skills and develop as you go through, can't they? So yeah. It's a campaign-based thing, which is really awesome. I'm going to put that back on the shelf before I steal it. Death Watch right next to it. Oh, I can't look at it.
So, So Shadespire. So some of you might have seen a little teaser thing that came up. There's been all sorts coming up for Shadespire. It's actually been a really long lead-in, which is different. Quite cool.
Long lead-in different. The lead-in to 40k was so long that I thought I'd
not
aged...
as long as Shadespire though. Shadespire we found out about like back at Adepticon or something. It was ages ago. And 40k's out now, and Shadespire's not out until like November.
All right.
So
what is Shadespire?
So Shadespire is gonna be, it would appear, a more of a board game crossed with a miniatures game. So it's gonna have hexes and stuff for movement. So the rules are gonna be a lot more structured. So it's gonna be really easy for competitive play to have very definite answers to rules questions, because you won't have that kind of free-form stuff that sometimes comes up when you've got a battlefield and you can go all over the place.
Yeah.
That's the rules, and it will be packs, I think. So, and there'll be, I believe they're going to do organised play as well, along the lines of like Magic: The Gathering. So it's going at another type of gamer, which goes back to what we were saying last time when I had my epiphany about different types of gaming and the journey and stuff. But from a background point of view, we know a little bit, and that's just come out from the Warhammer Age of Sigmar skirmish stuff.
Yeah.
So Shadespire is a city in the Realm of Death, made loads of crystal in it, because the inhabitants worked out how to lock their essences away in this crystal so that they could never truly die.
Yeah.
And Nagash wigged out a little bit about that and was like, "Well, I'm not having that." And he tore the soul out of the entire city, and left it a lifeless husk. But all of their cool magical stuff that they'd created and arcane technology bits and bobs is still all there for people to go and find.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's a bit like Mordheim in the sense there's like Broken City, that kind of stuff. But I think it's worth...
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's worth explaining because some people don't get Age of Sigmar or don't play it. But Age of Sigmar, the mortal realms were filled with human populations.
Yes.
And potentially elves and dwarves. Or we know dwarves, potentially elves. We just haven't come across those civilizations yet. And then Chaos wiped them out once they got a foothold through the gate system. Now, initially... Sigmar created a council of kind of the more powerful beings, including the orcs and Nagash, which is kind of a good indication of just how powerful Sigmar is, really, I think. But Nagash, he kind of betrayed Sigmar, and it's that betrayal that made Sigmar flip out pretty massively and take his eye off the ball while Chaos rolled through the gate system, wasn't it? So what I'm getting at is the kind of the realm of death is quite a key currently quite a key part of the Age of Sigmar story. So Nagash is still sat there quite happy, really. So that I'm quite interested to see what they come up with, and hopefully we might get some of those cool looking shadow elves. Yeah, that one in Warhammer Quest with the visor. Oh mate, more of those, please, Games Workshop.
Well, so I think that the thing, what you said about Mordheim is a really good point, because it is like Mordheim, but it's better. Sorry. Like, don't get me wrong.
If you listen carefully at the moment, that's Mike Bennett
screaming. Yeah. I loved Mordheim. I love the background from Mordheim. Really, really good. But what's great, and I'm on it again, what's great about the Shadespire background is it's got all the coolness of Mordheim, so you're looking for things and artifacts and in and out of this dead civilization, but with all the epic sort of no-holds-barred fantasy glitter skaven that you get from the mortal realms. That's what's so cool about it. That's what I love. So I'm very excited about Shadespire. I really like the death models that are coming out for that. I really like the idea that Games Workshop are looking at another avenue to go down with how they're going to do this game. So it's quite excited to see how that's going to work. So that's good. But we also need to come back to last week, because we spoke last week for quite a while about background and the elves, didn't we?
Yeah, about a lot of things, about how at the moment it feels a little bit fragmented, and really that it needs a bit of effort put into it to start to pull it together a little bit.
Yeah.
And explain what those small factions are, and maybe, if nothing else, give them a small pamphlet books to flesh them out a little bit so we can move forward.
So what's interesting, I was chatting to my friend Dan.
This is really frustrating for people.
What?
Because
I have a friend Ben, and then a friend Dan,
yeah.
and Dan and Ben, and yeah. Your brother's called Dan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's mad. It's just Dan and Ben.
Yeah. And I know a few other Bens as well.
Do you?
It's the Dan and Ben show. So we should know the podcast, the Dan and Ben show.
So, yes, Dan was saying, because he listened to the stuff about the background, what that you said on the elves and how it was in the book and stuff. And he said that what was so frustrating, though, was that every edition, it was just the same background with a little tweak.
Yeah, no, that is true. What, the old Warhammer?
Yeah. So it was never really different or vibrant. So that's what he really likes about the newer background. And what he said about the army-wise and how you want to combine all your elf things together. So what they're bringing out now is the ally system in the new General's Handbook,
which has the best advert ever.
Yes,
by the
it
way.
does.
Games Workshop community team hit that on the head.
It reminds me a lot of the music video for "Can I Play with Madness?" from Iron Maiden,
mixed with Nightmare.
Yeah. Nightmare was an incredibly good.
We should do a whole podcast
show.
on Nightmare.
We should.
Yeah. Or we could set it up as a game.
I was just you can see the light in both of our eyes.
Can I wear the helmet? I have to wear the helmet.
You can wear the helmet,
yes.
and I'm going to beat you with
you
the loyalty of
but
the
they were
Ultramarines.
all so crap. Anyway,
Yeah, I know they were shocking. they were. Oh yeah, Nightmare. That would be brilliant. What were we even talking about? Oh, yeah. So now you're going to be able to do the allies stuff.
Yeah.
So what he said, and I loved this idea, was you could do like the lion, you know, the white lions, with all the lion stuff.
I'm converting white lion riders, so
you could have them as your little ally contingent, and then have your Stormcast with all the lion, because there's loads of Stormcast with big like lion armor and stuff.
Yeah,
and that would be like a contingent out of Azir, like a lion contingent with elves that fit the theme and the look. To be honest, it was pretty flipping awesome idea from Dan.
You know, I like that.
Yeah, it's cool,
but
isn't
it still leaves out all the other ones.
What other ones?
The Swords Masters.
What are they?
Don't
look. This box here is full of them. So
I think for me, the thing that the reason why I think they've done it is they want to give themselves time to really reimagine the elves in a new kind of way, because it's really easy to do elves in the same Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings-esque kind of way, and I think it's the harder thing to do to take them down their own path. The flying dwarves in ships, I've never come across that before. It might exist out there, but I have not seen it. That's a nice new way to take the dwarves, so I think they're probably just biding their time and having a think, which I'd rather see them do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be nice. Obviously, this year was likely to be heavily 40k.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, there's still been some. Well, the flying dwarves,
skirmish, the flying dwarves, the Caradhran, whatever they're called. I'm so bad with names.
Caradhran Overlords.
Caradhran Overlords. You've got.
Was Blades of Corn this year as well?
Yeah,
I think
it was,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Stormcast.
Yeah.
What am I even talking about? There was loads of ages. It's ridiculous. We're only halfway through the year as well. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And the Path to Glory.
Oh yeah, and that. Yeah, I got that. That's up there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Not just a rehash of the General's Handbook.
No, definitely not. No, there's new ways of building your warband, and what I like as well is it seems like it's a bit of a lower entry point. It's more of a step.
Okay. Between
skirmish and Age of Sigmar big battles, whereas before you seem to need quite a few miniatures to do it.
Right.
And they've built armies around the start collecting boxes.
Oh, that's clever.
So it's really easy.
Yeah, that's clever.
I would quite like to get I think it's the Nighthaunt box. It's got 5 Hex Wraiths in it, 3 of the Spirit Host dudes, and the Mortis engine, and do the death. Yeah. Because, yeah.
Are you going to do Nagash?
Possibly. To be honest, I'm more interested in the Spirit stuff.
Yeah.
And that's mostly because of its ability to deal mortal wounds.
Did you see the Nagash?
Yes.
Yeah, on the throne with the vampire. Oh, mate, that's a standout model for me over the last year. I think that's absolutely stunning. Yeah, I'll post that because I know the Facebook page of the guy does it, so I'll post that. It's good.
It's really good, isn't it? So,
White Lines of Trace Army with is it the Storm class kind of skirmisher ones? With the
those guys.
In fairness, I'm actually been bitten quite hard by the greenskins. Yeah. So I opened the box with all my sort of bits box. I was pulling out all my old models, and I I've got because I actually thought the greenskins they fit a nice kind of niche in that we've talked about before having an army that you can play against anybody, and I think greenskins really are that army. They can fight against greenskins. They can fight against anybody. They just like fighting. So I think for me, that's probably actually quite a big kind of selling point.
Yeah, it's useful to have that, isn't it? Where you can fight any army. You know the other army you could do for that.
You say chaos, I'll jump out the window.
I can't really afford to replace the window, so I won't.
I
won't say that.
Even Josh disagrees with
you. Josh is shouting in the background at that idea.
So, Age of Sigmar, moving forward, General's Handbook 2, 2017?
General's Handbook 2017, yeah. I think that's an interesting sign that they've gone for that. I know they did say early on that was something they were likely going to do on a yearly basis.
Well, they've kind of sealed the deal now, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense to put it there and just say 2017 because it's going to be easy then to know which one you're...
Do you know, one of the things I've really noticed, Facebook has really royally kind of got under my skin over the last week. There's some bitching and whinging about the certain things that's just driven me mad. But one of the things I've really noticed is the juxtaposition about the announcement of the General's Handbook 2017 and the new 40k one.
Chapter approved.
General's Handbook 2017 gets announced. Age of Sigmar community just flips with excitement. Excellent, General's is going to be awesome. The last one's brilliant, etc., etc., etc. Chapter approved gets announced. Another book, another more Games Workshop selling us crap. We don't. Just a completely different attitude to it. And that really surprised me, actually. I'm starting to wonder whether or not the kind of positivity has moved into Age of Sigmar and has kind of left all of the grumblers behind because they've just stopped playing it. And the new people in there, that new community, is really positive because I was really surprised by that because they're the same concept and they've both been received completely differently. So that's interesting. So that's that.
I'm finishing on that. I'm just thinking about a response that is reasonable. I have found that the Age of Sigmar people that I've played have been I've had really positive games.
Yeah.
And I've not played loads of games, but I've played quite a few, and all the people I've played.
You played in a tournament, didn't you?
Yeah. And it was just fantastic, and it's. I just don't seem to end up arguing over little tiny details.
Yeah.
It's really free and it flows nicely.
Yeah.
And people are there just trying to have fun. And I do think, I know when Age of Sigmar came out, we don't really know whether the Games Workshop planned it all along or what happened there, but it didn't come out with a great fanfare. And it took a long time, or it took a while to get off the ground. But when it came out, they were really, really blunt about the fact that there were certain types of player that they didn't want to engage with. And since that time, they've gone back and actually they've put stuff in place that engages with more competitive players. But that initial rush seemed to basically push all the whinging, pain in the butt people out the way. into other things.
But Space Marines are just Imperial Guardsmen now.
Yeah, but it could just be, and it's always the same. Like you do get that kind of effect where you only know the gaming group around you.
Yeah,
and
you're quite positive, and that kind of
and I am quite positive, so it does brush off on other people. But my experience has been that when I've watched other fantasy systems being played, that the atmosphere around those games isn't one that I would necessarily want to be in. Now, that doesn't mean those systems are bad, and it doesn't mean that those systems don't fit for some people, because that's what some people want to get out of it. But from an enjoyment point of view, you can clearly see, I have found, who is having more fun. And that's not just because I'm playing someone and I think, oh, we're having fun and they're not.
It's interesting you say that, because you know what really sealed the deal for me for Age of Sigmar is I went into Games Workshop Plymouth and there was a little kid playing against somebody else, and he had his Orc army and they had Stormcast, and they were having a blast. And I can't remember anyone having or coming across having that much fun playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Yeah.
And that for me, that was the seal that I thought, I've got to give this a go. Because I'm not giving it a go, I'm missing out. That and picking up the Orc War Boss, and I was like, oh my god, he's huge! So that positivity is probably what made me think, no, just stop being an idiot and have a go.
Cool. So
on that positive note,
guys, we're going to move on now and go into the wild. So I'm
so excited.
Ben, as you know, wants to talk about the APC. So we'll be coming back to talk about that. We've got a little bit to say about Blood and Plunder, and also it struck me while we were talking about this positive move and excitement for Games Workshop, and was this successful, was this not? Games Workshop published their financial results this week, just gone, and I love to have a good chat about financial results.
So sad.
Yeah, I might be sad, but it's flipping amazing news. So we'll be back, guys. The hobby's not going anywhere but up.
Get it, Google it. It said, can Ultramarines turn to heresy? Read it. Chaos Ultramarine Chapter Successors. Go on, bring it up.
Alright, I'm doing it. Calm down. Traitor. Oh, there is no internet connection.
No, this is crap. This is crap. You're conspiring.
I look it up on my phone. Hang on. I look it up on my phone. Right. Traitor
Ultramarine Successor Chapters.
No.
Does not say no.
It just says no on Google. Yeah, it does.
Show it.
It does. Renegade Ultramarines.
There you go.
By the Codex fluff, no Ultramarine will ever turn to chaos.
That is
End of story.
No.
You're so silly. Yeah, get back in your hole.
This isn't over.
I think it is.
It's not. As soon as I put it away, it's clearly corrupted.
So list of Chaos Space Marine warbands there. It says 73 from the Space Wolves.
Yeah, whatever.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back, guys. You've now joined us in the wilds. I have Ben, the excitement in his eyes. It's like little lightning bolts coming out. So have you got something you want to talk about,
mate.
Ben?
So I don't know if any of you remember when I was talking about the Cheyenne dropship for Prodos' Alien vs Predator. And I actually contacted Prodos directly and asked them whether they were going to do the APC to go in it. And they said no. Anyway, they were talking lies because they've released the most beautiful model of the APC I could possibly have wished for. Interior detail. It's even got the slidey chair where the commanding officer sits and does all the monitor stuff, man. It looks amazing. They've got the driver. They've got the seats. They've got the phase plasma cannon that comes up and down. It comes up and down, Dan. It moves up and down. Wham! Half a city with this puppy. It's going to be amazing. And it fits in the Cheyenne. It fits inside it. I'm going to be flying it around my house for a month going, it's game over, man. It's going to be brilliant. I'm so excited about it. I have to say, Jo isn't. She's not. When I sent her the link, the first thing I got back was, 50 quid!
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So it fits in the Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Does a Primera Space Marine fit in the Cheyenne?
Mate, you could fit 50 Primera Space Marines in that Cheyenne.
Because I'm going to have to get one.
Well, I'm sorry, but as far as drop ships go, the Cheyenne chops the drop pod. It does. It does. When those missile pods unravel, and it's just, you know that is going to punch you in the face. That's like a comet coming down from space on missiles. It's going to be. I'm just so excited about it. I am. I'm almost tempted to park the Space Wolves to paint the Cheyenne so I can have an excuse to buy. Because I know what I'll get from the good lady when I say, can I have the APC? I'll get a good 10 minutes about how I haven't even constructed the Cheyenne, which is a fair point. Mostly a fair point. But then if we played that argument with everything we bought, I would never be buying any Warhammer ever again.
Yeah.
So
I'm very... you haven't worn that dress. Those shoes.
Eh?
Not you wearing a dress, but like if
oh, I see.
It's the same argument but working the other way.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really cool because what they're going down is they're starting to embrace the kind of open play system that they've got a book for. So the board game is very much a kind of bug hunty kind of scenario with the Marines traipsing around a corridor system where there's lovely thick card sections. But they've kind of released a set of rules to play it like a tabletop game. So that's where the APC is going to come in. Whether or not we're going to see other things, it'd be quite cool to see some Predator ships. That would be pretty sweet. I don't know what they could bring out for aliens, but I've got the Queen model. That is gorgeous. That's epic on its own right. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it actually. It's reinvigorated me for the Prodos range. And equally, I've just found out very excitingly that Ross plays Alien vs Predator, so we can play some games of that. So I'm really excited about it. Really, really excited about it. Other thing I'm quite excited about is Blood and Plunder.
Yeah.
So we've been sort of floating around the sort of outskirts of this.
So I liked Firelock Games on Facebook a while ago because they did it through Kickstarter.
They did, yeah.
And it just keeps popping up. Yeah. And it is amazing. And one of the lovely things about Firelock, and it is similar in many ways to Drop Zone Commander, which is a game that I played for a little bit, that's made by Hawk War Games, is even though they are small, the quality of the stuff they're doing is just stunning. And I don't just mean the stuff they're putting out, but also like the boards they're building to display their stuff on and take
gorgeous,
pictures. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's just, and I think that's what sells it to me. The Firelock Games comes up, and there's a beautiful Pacific island with like a village and a frigate or some shit sitting in the bay, and there's pirates running everywhere, and they put the little puffs of smoke for. Oh, mate. Seriously, I am so close to just dropping 100 quid on that. And when you share
the ships,
oh, and people are going to town with that because there is a whole kind of model universe based around building ships. I spent a little bit of time at Britannia Naval College, and you walk around there, and they've got model ships from right the way back when the Navy first. It's the Mary Rose, I think, was one of them, and so there's a whole kind of boat making thing. And people are like, oh, can I put this figurehead on this? And, they really go into town and taking those kind of resin basic structures and turning them into proper little ships with rigging and all sorts of crap going on. It's exciting. Are we going to be bitten?
The danger will be when I go to a show
and they have them there on the
and
shelf.
they're there.
Yes.
That will be the problem.
Oh, did you see the rule book and the leather-bound rule book?
Yes,
it looks like an 18th.
I saw that. Yes, yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, but I mean, we're sold just on the look and the quality. We haven't even played the game. Could be crap. But will that matter?
Well, I don't think so, because it will be immersive.
Yeah.
Because if the miniatures are good enough, and the ship's good enough, and the scenery's good enough,
Yeah.
then we'll be immersed in pirates.
Yep.
So it could be, hitting each other with stick. In fact, that would be quite cool, actually, dressing up as pirates. But
There's a whole reenactment section on that.
Yeah.
I've cheated a few of them on A&E with a sword injury to the head. I'm not joking either. And a burn to their hands from the black powder.
Oh, right. Excellent.
Story for another day.
Yeah, that is a different story. But yeah, I think, over there I've got a shelf of books, which is like my sort of historical dabbling war games. So I've got a bunch of stuff from Warlord games.
Yeah.
And there's some Napoleonic stuff over there. So
Hail Caesar.
You got Hail Caesar is over there. Black Powder.
You lent me Black Powder, or gave me a copy of it, the small version.
Yeah. So I'm never that far away from going down that route, but it's like everything, isn't it? It's time.
Yeah.
To paint it and build it and model it.
That's always the thing that stops me, because I've been meaning to paint my Space Force for so long now that I thought it would never happen, and now I'm in the groove. I kind of don't want to do anything until I've got at least, maybe even a 300 PowerPoint army under the belt. Because for me, from moving forward, I'll just be adding to that project. Where to break, mate, if I go into something like Blood and Plunder, I will be building the victory before a week is out. That will be on my list.
I think that's the problem when you're looking to buy into something new, because what we've made very clear talking about Blood and Plunder is what we love about it is the visuals.
Yeah. So
what we don't want to do is play with half a painted ship and a couple of dudes around a tin of baked beans on the kitchen floor. That's not
because done that as kids,
yeah, well, that's it, and also like it's. I'm sure it's a great rule system, but it ain't going to be so out there and groundbreaking and different that we fall in love with the rule system, and that's what we really want to get out of it. That's not what it's about. It's about recreating that spectacular vision, isn't it? And that takes time. Actually, to be honest, I want to do that for City Fight, and I want to do that for floating islands in the Mortal Realms.
See, the problem, have you watched Black Sails?
I don't think so.
No. Black Sails is a pirate series on television. Joe and I really enjoyed it. There's another couple of series sitting on Amazon waiting for me to watch, and there's one good reason why I haven't watched them. Blood and Plunder.
Yeah, because it would be expensive.
Because there's a great bit in that where these two small pirate ships trying to take down a Spanish man of war. And I said to Joe before the scene even started, I said, if they do it, this is crap. I'm turning it off because it's just rubbish. The amount of guns on that thing would blow one of those ships into oblivion, one broadside. And they open fire, they're doing there's bits flying off of the Spanish ship, and then it turns its broadside on them, and then the scene is just all hell breaking loose, and there's bits of wood flying everywhere, and the next thing you see is the ship's just in bits in the harbour. And I was like, that is just amazing. That's brilliant. It's the best thing for naval warfare from that period I've seen since Master and Commander. I was just, and that,
see,
I'm on one now.
I have to be honest.
Rein me in.
See, now that makes me thinking about wanting to play Trafalgar, and that sort of, because it just looks spectacular. Yeah. But then, to be honest, it all goes in a big cycle for me, because the things I love about naval warfare, the manoeuvring.
We're going to get back to the tricorn hat and you standing on a
and playing Battlefleet Gothic. Because then it's everything.
Yeah,
that is why Battlefleet Gothic is so amazing, and 40k, because it mixes all of that heroic, all the things that, because let's be honest, naval warfare in the 18th century was horrific. warfare
no
is
doubt.
horrific.
Yeah, I'm nodding.
But naval, the idea of being on one of those ships, it's just
focus on your gun, pretend everything's not happening. Yeah.
It's just horrific. But what you with obviously with Gothic, because it's fiction, it's science fiction, and you can take all the cool stuff that you think of when you think naval warfare, of honour and all of that.
Yeah,
it's
Dark Imperium, the opening chapter. We keep coming back to this book, but
that's because it's amazing.
That opening chapter when Gilliman's fleet is engaging the Emperor's Children's fleet, and it does talk about how many people are on those ships and how, for most of them, they're just literally crapping themselves, focusing on their little task, because if they think anything other than, I must make this gun keep firing, their brain just couldn't comprehend the massive threat that is literally right hovering over them as these planet-destroying ships are just blowing the shite out of each other. And I think that's really well put across.
Interestingly, I'm reading Perturabo.
We've gone back out.
We're all over the place. We're out the wilds. We're into heresy now. And in that, it talks about naval warfare, but the Iron Warriors do it quite differently. So a lot of airships are automated, and they do that in such a way that most of the crew are Iron Warriors, Space Marines. They are, so they don't have as many of all the serfs and all of that stuff.
That's interesting.
On there, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
So should we bring it back into the wilds?
Yeah, but
because we are back in Games Workshop again.
But we're going to go back there again because I want to talk about.
Go on then.
One thing that I've said a few times on like social media and stuff is you see these big threads come in about, wrong, they're wrong, they're wrong.
They're going to ruin
they're ruining it. They're going to go under. They're such idiots. Blah blah blah. Or Age of Sigmar's a failure. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And I always say, well, let's just wait and see. We'll see because the financials will come out, and that will go either way. And actually, what's been really exciting is watching last year the glimmers of hope, and the stopping of the rot happened. Then you had the glimmers of hope, and then this last year, 20. And this is at constant currency, so all the stuff about Brexit and the pound and all of that, take that out. Constant currency, £25 million sales increase year on year. In a business whose turnover is about 120, and actually now it was 143 million at constant currency and 158 when you don't stick with a constant currency. That is an incredible sales turnaround. Over 20% growth in a business.
And that can't be all 40k.
It's not, because the 40k factor is in this year. Yeah. That's in this financial year.
So that's
not got. Yeah.
So that's just based on Age of Sigmar.
So that's mostly Age of Sigmar.
So it'd be interesting to see.
And and actually came at a time when you could argue that 40k was at its lowest ebb because people knew that something new was coming around the corner.
Yeah.
So
true.
And there's loads of things that go into that, but it makes me so. It's actually a bit of pride. It's kind of weird because I do love Games Workshop so much.
For a while, so
and
financials do matter.
I've had, there's stuff that I didn't agree with and things that frustrate me, and I did get really frustrated just before I left. But for the guys that stayed in there, thanks and well done, really, because it's flipping awesome, and it's so great to see the community stuff.
I just tonal. I mean that website. With the spangly 3D planet map.
I just hope they keep it up. Yeah. And I'm all the stuff like that. I don't want. It would be such a shame for any of that old arrogance to sneak back in. Let's keep seeing the rules coming out in the boxes for free and all of that stuff. Keeping the entry points growing, which seems to be happening. So lots more getting started stuff, and keep bringing out fantastic new releases that is happening for all different varieties of gamers, painters, players, collectors. And it's clear that a lot of fun is being had. And I know from when I ran the stores and when I worked in a store as a staff member that you made the most money when you had the most fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, some of those release days when we were just kicking off.
Well, yeah, then it's just
Best,
excitement.
Skull power.
So, yeah, I know you said, oh, yeah, it's sad because of the finances, but it really means a great deal to me to have seen that success. I'm just so happy because I love the worlds and I love the company. It's getting all emotional.
It's never come across.
No.
So we are well back and truly out of the wilds and sat firmly on Games Workshop's patio.
The
again.
wilds, we can talk about anything.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, but I kind of feel that we've lost the APC moment a little bit. The APC moment, Dan, that goes in the Cheyenne, drops it. Prodos' sales won't be that big.
Wow. I think that probably about concludes our ramblings.
It does, yeah.
It's been really great to do an episode sat across from you, which is awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I was quite nervous about it, actually.
Yeah, well, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is different.
We said it, well, we've said it every time, but just yet again, for those that have stayed with us right to the end of the episode, but for anyone that's downloaded, certainly people that are commenting, people that are getting involved in this adventure that we're on, thank you so much, because we are having a great time, really, just chatting, and to see that people that are enjoying it and getting involved and on board is brilliant, isn't it? Really, it's just fantastic. So please keep liking, sharing, spreading the word, reviewing, smiling.
And if you want us to talk about something that you're doing, then give us a shout, because we talked about Outlands. We talked about Outlands last week, and a lot of people are sort of, I think, have gone to have a look at that because of that, and we're quite happy to do that because we're really excited about building a hobby community.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So we'll call it a night. We're going to go and have a cup of tea, and then.
How much cups of tea do we drink? It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh, it's essential though.
Yeah,
it is.
What a hell! And you know the best bit? We've got all the way through, and I haven't even mentioned the night garden.
Oh.
Bye, guys.